All right, you're watching the Sports Roundup Show. This is our NFL segment, Super Bowl week. It's a Friday, a couple days before the Super Bowl. It's the biggest sporting event in the United States, in my opinion. But yeah, let's get into before we get into the Super Bowl. We're going to talk about, of course, the biggest trade in a long time in the NFL, which was Jared Goff going to the Detroit Lions for Matthew Stafford. Um, what do you think? I was shocked that it happened on Super Bowl week.
Mike, they doing it was people been saying on social media and just on TV in general. They making NBA trades now, Mike. They doing trying to create all star teams in the NFL like they try to do always in the NBA, because you never, like you said, you never really see trades like this happen. Two number ones within 10 years. So Jared Goff was drafted in 2016, Matthew Stafford in 2009. So what's that? 7 years difference. So they're still both in their primes. Well, I guess Jared Goff is trying to ascend to his prime, but yeah. So just two number one overall picks traded for each other. The draft capital that the Rams gave up for Matthew Stafford, as you mentioned on Super Bowl weekend. Usually trades don't happen until the league year starts, Mike. In March. Yeah, so I'm I was shocked, Mike. Let's just start there. Your thoughts on the trade?
Well, I was shocked. I was thinking I didn't really think they were going to trade for Matthew Stafford, in my opinion. He's 33 years old. There is some doubt, I think. I know, he's considered a good quarterback in the NFL, but I wouldn't consider him a great quarterback, right? I mean, he's had his thrown over almost 150 interceptions in his career. Um, and so that's a big stat there. And just the age, right? 33. You just don't know how much there's really left in Matthew Stafford, right? You hope that he has a great year next year, but then you wonder if he can really do it again the year after, right? Well, because he's getting up there. And then also, Jared Goff, they drafted him number one. It's very rare that they signed him to that crazy deal, right? And they were able to trade him. So I'm just still shocked that it happened. I didn't believe the rumors at first that they wanted Matthew Stafford, but I guess they were true. Then I was also reading that Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford had a relationship throughout the years, so they were friends. So that probably, I think that played a big role as well in why this happened.
Mike, so to your Matthew Stafford point about 33 years old. So yeah, so he turns 33 Sunday on Super Bowl, and he has 2 years left on his contract. And I remember Mitch Kupchak, Mike, the former GM of the Lakers, now the GM right now of the Charlotte Hornets. He said athletes' prime years is from 27 to 33. Rich Cupcake is pretty smart. It was a couple of deals that Luau Dang, that Mozgov deal that he messed up on, but Mr. Cupcake, when he speaks, you kind of want to listen. And so Matthew Stafford 33. So like you said, this year and then maybe next year because he has 2 years left. So more than likely he'll definitely be a Rams unless they also give him an extension. So Mike, that means that the Rams are going for it. To give up the capital to two first round draft picks in the next 2 years, which already they haven't been having draft picks since they drafted Jared Goff, who they traded for in 2016. So they're going for the Super Bowl. It seems like you said, Sean McVay, that's who he wanted. He was getting, as I mentioned, Sean McVay was heated at Jared Goff the last couple of weeks of the season before he even injured his thumb. So they want to go with the road to Matthew Stafford. And my question to you, Mike, is: do you think he's at least a little bit better than Jared Goff? I know we talk about the turnovers. Do you think if it's slight edge, then maybe do it because it's just winter? Because you got to do it while you have the defense.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think he does have a slight edge in terms of experience, right? I mean, he's got almost 10 years in the NFL, over 10 years in the NFL. But when it comes to the playoffs, I mean, Jared Goff already went to a Super Bowl, and Matthew Stafford hasn't won a playoff game. So that's a big stat there.
Is that the defense though for the Lions? Or not, well, not just the defense, but is that the team of the Lions?
You just think that the Lions itself were just a bad team, and that's why they were unable to win. Yeah, I think it had a lot to do with it as well. But we're gonna have to just wait and see with Stafford. I do think that if they wanted to trade Jared Goff, this was the year to do it, right? They probably couldn't do it next year because Jared Goff could have had another bad year, and then it was impossible to trade him. So I mean, if they made their decision they were going to trade him, I think they had to do it right now. So I do agree with Les Snead making the trade this year because next year probably wasn't going to be able to happen.
Now, Mike. That's a good point that people really didn't talk about this week. If someone has back-to-back bad years, your trade value goes way down. If anything, you might have to
Or an injury
keep the
too.
quarterback. Yeah, yep. And if that quarterback goes to another team, it'll more likely he'll be a backup. So you don't want to give up too much or whatnot. So that's a good point.
Yeah, so of course he's still 100% Jared Goff. He's had a few injuries, but his career is not in jeopardy. It kind of goes back to last year, right? Todd Gurley, the Rams were looking to trade Todd Gurley last year, but they couldn't because there was a lot of concern about his knee, and a lot of people didn't think he was 100%. And it looks like they were right, right? He's not 100%. He hasn't been the same player, and that's why the Rams were unable to trade him. They had to cut him, right? They're still going to be paying him for the next 2 years, and I just don't think the Rams wanted to do that also with Jared Goff.
Mike, so let's kind of go up to the front office then. Do you think that Les Snead and Sean McVay are the right people to direct this franchise? 'Cause I I have faith in Les Snead. Like some people doesn't like a lot of the now. I remember I text Mike. I'm like, this is a lot of draft picks to keep giving up every year, but I do like the aggressiveness. I saw Kyler Murray from the Cardinals say that too about us, even though we're not the same division. He was like, "Yeah, I love the aggressiveness by the Rams. That's what you want to see from your team." So I do. I will say this: I do like the aggressiveness of always trying to get the best players. Like I said, kind of like the NBA model, just trying to get the best players each year to go win it all. So would you think that they're leading the Rams in the right direction?
Well, I definitely think Sean McVay is the right guy to be the coach, right? I mean, I don't think you're going to find a better coach than that. But in terms of Les Snead, I mean, if this Matthew Stafford thing doesn't work out, I mean, I definitely think this is his job right here, right? I mean,
They said that
it
this week.
has to work out, right?
Yep. They they said they. My bad to cut you off. They said that this week. They said this is for Les Snead's job.
Yeah, this is for Les Snead's job. I mean, if he doesn't, if they don't find a way to, win the Super Bowl, right? I mean, I think the Rams are at a point now where it's Super Bowl or bust, right? They've given up so much. They have all the pieces. Well, not every single piece. There's just some holes, but I mean, they got enough to win a Super Bowl, right? The defense is at probably one of the best in the NFL. And now with Matthew Stafford, you would expect them to have a more of a I guess, consistent approach, right? Because you know what you're going to get from Matthew Stafford. The Rams' identity is going to be set. And Sean McVay is perfect for that, right? He knows how to work these kind of quarterbacks. So the Rams are have to be up there, trying to win that Super Bowl because this is it, right? I mean, if they don't win it these next 2 years with Stafford, I really think after that it's going to be really tough. I mean, the Rams are. I have a feeling the Rams are going to be pretty bad in a few years though because of the no draft picks. Stafford is not going to last forever, and there's going to be some rough years I think ahead for the Rams after these 2 years are up.
Mike, that's a good point. Any or any of the four major sports, any organization within the four major sports, sooner or later, that team is going to have to go through a rebuild. There's not one team that has never went through the rebuild. Even the best teams, NBA, Lakers, what we saw before we got LeBron. I'm saying we, of course, Lakers fan. What we saw rebuild. Warriors before they got Steph Curry and them rebuild. Football, the Patriots right now, they're looking like they're going through a rebuild. Before Tom Brady, nobody was talking about the Patriots. The Cowboys, I mean, they've been going through a rebuild since the 90s. But hockey, of course, we see it with the Detroit Red Wings. So teams go through a rebuild. Baseball, Yankees, they went through a rebuild for a while. So teams go through a rebuild. Mike, the best teams. And I want to ask you. So as far as like the technical aspect between Stafford and Goff, uh, would you say Stafford throws a better deep ball, Mike? Because I was thinking that like Stafford does throw a better deep ball though.
Well, yeah, he definitely throws a better deep ball, and I do think he has a little more mobility than Goff, right? He can run, get a few yards, and also I do think Stafford does have that kind of like leadership, competitive aspect that I don't know if Goff really had right these few years. 'Cause I never saw Jared Goff as a leader of the Rams, right? You know, I think Matthew Stafford could become that leader along with Aaron Donald.
Mike, so a lot of people, NFL Network, ESPN, they've been saying he has a chance to get the MVP next year. Some of them are picking the Rams to win the Super Bowl, or at least going into the Super Bowl as the best team from the NFC. Um, my question is Mike going to be as hard on Matthew Stafford as he was on Jared Goff? That's my
I
question.
no, I think I will because I mean the Rams gave up too much to not they got to hold them up to a high standard. I really think they have to try to win the division, right? You got to try to win that division, get home field, and make a deep playoff run. I'm just looking forward to hopefully next year we have more of a normal season, right? Because I mean this year was really tough, and next year hopefully, well later this year I should say, hopefully we got fans in there, and people get to see this brand new Rams team.
Mike, and then I just want to say to that point, so far they said maybe OTAs and mini camps might be virtually, and I just want to bring it to the Matthew Stafford point. Of course, I hope that we're back. I want to see some Rams games, but to the player standpoint, Matthew Stafford, he has to get chemistry with that team, especially them wide receivers. Because Cooper Cup, I just saw, I think it was ESPN posted it, but his heartfelt message to Jared Goff. Him and Jared Goff were like this. So
Yeah.
Stafford, as you mentioned kind of earlier, with the leadership, he's going to have to, get inside there with that offense, saying that he's a Ram now because a lot of those players. Aaron Donald said this week that that's his brother for life, and he was even shocked. So uh, these OTAs and mini camps are going to be virtual, so it's kind of going to be kind of hard to create that chemistry. But Matthew Stafford maybe hold some throwing sessions that you see Tom Brady is famous for or whatnot, because he's going to have to create chemistry with Cooper Kupp. If him and Cooper Kupp can, get that going, Robert Woods, Rams offense could be scary.
I know, and then also you got to think the Rams. I mean, Matthew Stafford. I mean, Jared Goff. I was going to say, kind of, really was similar to Cooper Kupp in the way they were almost the same age. They kind of had that. They came up together, right?
They
And I
live
know
together, Mike.
they live together. Matthew Stafford is like older, right? He's a veteran. He's kind of like a established guy, so he's not gonna. I don't. It's gonna be that might be a little hard to connect with the young guys, right? Usually we see this all over the place, right? So that's going to be a big question mark. That's why most teams wouldn't do this trade, right? Because they don't want to risk breaking that chemistry of a team that was not terrible, right? The Rams made it to the divisional round. Goff did have kind of a bad season, but he had a better season than other quarterbacks in the NFL. I know that because there's some quarterbacks out there that were worse than Jared Goff.
I said it was worse than Jared Goff, and I would say this to that point. The GM of the Lakers, Mike, his name, I cannot think of his name right
Rob
now.
Pelinka.
Yeah, Rob Pelinka.
Yeah.
Mike is so fast. Um, uh, he says it all the time. He tries to get players who has a good chemistry on the team, because not just talent, but the camaraderie of the players can lead you to a championship. To your point, Matthew Stafford is definitely gonna have to get inside there and get some camaraderie.
All right, so we'll obviously talk about that as the season goes along, the preseason. But now let's get into the Super Bowl, which is in 2 days. I think it's gonna be a really good Super Bowl because we have two great quarterbacks. One might be on his way out next year, and then the other one is just starting out, already a champion as well. Usually it's pretty good when we see two champions going at it at a Super Bowl. So I'm really excited, but I do think the Chiefs do have a slight edge. I have a feeling that just the idea of the Chiefs winning last year, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is the first year they've really been together. It's going to play a role, and I think the Chiefs are going to pull this one out. What do you think?
Mike, so couple things there. Please don't say great quarterback again for Tom Brady. I don't want to hear that. Nah, just playing. But shout out to Tom Brady. Um, uh, uh, Also, you mentioned this earlier, Mike. I didn't think about this. Super Bowl has over always 100 million viewers, Mike.
Yeah,
Like this is one of the big games of the year, And to the other point you just made, I do think this will definitely be a well played game because, as you mentioned, two quarterbacks that are at the top of the food chain. Patrick Mahomes is up and coming, ascending. As you mentioned, Tom Brady been here for years. I forgot which rap song that is, but Tom Brady been here for years. That well, not that they would say Tom Brady is saying been here for years. I quote. But and then yeah. So to the game, Mike. I'm with you. I like that point because the Buccaneers haven't been together for a whole. I mean, they've been together for a whole year, but not for multiple years. And the Chiefs, I mean, they're back to back. They said this might coming into the year, whichever team had the best chemistry and had the most turnover from the previous season. So last year, due to the pandemic, because less practice time and whatnot, will we had the best chance to make the Super Bowl, win the Super Bowl. Chiefs, of course, had the best because they made the Super Bowl last year. So I'm with you. I'm going with the Chiefs. It will be a well played game. I will say that. I think it's gonna be a well played game.
Yeah, I mean it should be, but I think the Chiefs are going to pull it out. I think they have this. Mahomes is really playing well right now. He did have, of course, the concussion. We went through the concussion protocol, but he seemed fine last week again, a couple weeks ago against the Bills. So I think he's ready to go. And I don't know. I just think that the only thing that could change this game is, of course, the Buccaneers defense, right? I mean, they create a lot of turnovers, so they could do that again uh, on Super Bowl Sunday. Then the Buccaneers are going to have a good shot to win.
Mike, then let me ask you this. So of course they played inside the regular season, and the Chiefs won. Do you think the second time around, like, do you think? Of course, we see it a lot with the Rams, Seahawks, 49, because they're that's who we watch the most. Do you think these second round time games like definitely help out the team that lost or the team that won? Which
Usually helps out the team that lost, right? Usually they make the adjustments and they're able to capitalize. So I would say it's going to help the Buccaneers, but I don't know. I just think it's going to be kind of a question mark to see what how Brady's going to play on Sunday, right? Because he did have 3 interceptions last game, and I don't know. We'll just see how that goes. But the Chiefs, I don't know. I think they're going to pull it out. They'll be the first back-to-back champions in a while, right? Since the Patriots, since 2005. They're the last team to go back-to-back in the NFL. And then, of course, nobody has gone. Nobody's had a three-peat in the Super Bowl era. So that's kind of crazy.
that's crazy to think about, Mike. I didn't think about that. That is true. Since the Patriots did it, 03, 04, Mike. Oh,
It was, I think it was 04, 05. So it was like, yeah, yeah,
oh,
04, yeah.
4 or 5.
Because
Um,
03 was Tampa Bay won the Super Bowl.
yes. The John Gruden, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
So uh, let's talk about some of the players, Mike. Tyreek Hill. I expect a big game out of him. Kelsey, tight end. Of course, Mahomes. And look out for that defense because, to your point, Mike, I will say this: I don't care who you are, even the greatest. Sometimes feel the pressure because Kobe Bryant. We mentioned this a couple weeks ago in one of our shows in that Game 7 versus the Celtics in 2010, one of the worst games he ever had because he said that he wanted to win that super bad because of the rivalry and so speaking. So you never know. Tom Brady may feel the pressure for this game, and he might. So to your point, he might not play. So look out for the Chiefs defense and Tyrann Matthew, safety for the Chiefs. Some of my key players to look out for.
All right. So my final score, I got the Chiefs winning 35-28. What do you think?
Oh, 35-28, Mike. Um, Mike, I like that because I'm telling you, Mike, I got a feeling it will be a well played game. Um, both of these coaches, Andy Reid, Bruce Arians, veteran coaches. Matter of fact, Mike, last game of the year, let's go same score, Mike. I'm
All
agreeing
right.
with Mike, 35-28.
You didn't agree with me in the championship week, so that's why you're
You right, Mike. You right.
yeah.
You did say that. So let me agree with Mike. 35-28.
All right.
Chiefs winning. Mike,
All right.
MVP, Mike, MVP.
MVP, I'm gonna go with Mahomes.
Mahomes.
Yeah.
Mahomes. I
All
mean,
right.
let me just agree. I was gonna go Matthews. From defense, I'm gonna go Mahomes. Mahomes.
All right, so I want to thank everybody for watching today's Sports Round show. Make sure you like and subscribe to this channel. Thanks for watching, everybody.